Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm back with a different subject. It's really not fashion, it's not home organization. Today's subject is another finance subject. Today we're going to talk about credit score, and you might be wondering, why is she talking about credit score and what are really her credentials to do so? Well, I am addressing credit score today for three reasons. Number one, for over 20 years I maintained a 800, actually well over 800 credit score. Number two, I know that everything I have today and everything I got is because of putting my good credit to use. Number three, because I have a master's degree in business that's focused on finance, and I learned a thing or two about personal finances during my academic journey, and I would love to share those tips with you. So let's start with why have a good credit. If you have a credit score of 720 and higher, that means you are a super prime. It means you have a higher rating of approval for any loans you apply for. It also means you get lower interest rates. Basically, your credit score informs the lenders of how reliable you are to pay your debts back. People with lower credit scores, they scramble around trying to find someone with a higher credit score, a super prime person, to basically help them obtain that loan, to co-sign for them. And I caution about becoming a co-signer, because a lot of times when you're co-sign and the original borrower does not pay his loans back, you get stuck with those loans. Basically, your credit gets pulled for everything you need to finance, whether it's a house, a car, or even an engagement ring. Now, I do not recommend financing for an engagement ring, but if you were to do that, you're going to need a good credit to get a credit limit that you desire, and the interest rate hopefully be a nice low interest rate. So where do you start if you want to have a good credit? Number one, I would start by knowing where you stand. And knowing where you stand comes from knowing what your credit story is. You can pull your credit history from annualcreditreport.com. Now, this used to be an annual report that you get from all three reporting bureaus. But now, actually, if you go to their website, I will pop a picture up here. Apparently, annualcreditreport.com nowadays allows you to pull a weekly credit report. There must be a lot of fraud going on. That's why people need to look at their credit reports very frequently and to find if there is anything suspicious on your report or not. Also, personally, I have an account with Credit Karma, which allows me to track my credit and be abreast of what's happening with my accounts. Basically, it's an online tool. It allows you to access your credit as many times as you want during the day. There are 5 factors that impact your credit score. Each factor has a certain percentile, and the total of those 5 factors make up 100% of your credit score. So let's start with the most important ones, because there's 2 factors that make up more than 60% of your credit score. And those 2 factors, number one is payment history, which accounts for 35% of your credit. And number two is credit utilization or credit usage, which amounts to 30% of your credit score. So let's go to the credit history. And what does a credit history mean? It's basically an indicator of your payments. So to keep your payment history as high as possible, make at least the minimum payments on time, because what's important, what's going to get reported to the credit bureau, is when you made your payment and if you made that payment on time. On to the second factor, which is credit card usage or utilization, and that accounts for 30% of your credit score. What does usage mean? It basically means how much of your credit is used at all times. If you have a credit limit of $1,000 and you're using $100, that puts you at a 10% of usage. It's always advised to keep your usage or utilization below 30% of your credit limit. Best credit score is when your usage 10% of your credit limit. Now, personally, I find when my utilization is at 3%, that's when my credit jumps to the highest level. The third factor, which accounts for 15% of your credit score, is the length of your credit history or the age of your credit. One thing I'll tell you to keep your credit age as long as you can is by keeping your oldest credit cards and keeping them in good standing. Even if you're not using your oldest credit card, even if it has a high interest and you called them and they did not lower the interest, don't close that card. My recommendation is to keep that card somewhere safe. You don't have to access it, but you should not close it because that card accounts for your credit history. Factor number 4 that impacts your credit history, which is a low impact, it has a 10% weight on your credit history, is hard hits or recent inquiries. Basically, every time someone runs your credit, if you go to get a loan and they run your credit once, several points will be deducted from your credit. They run your credit twice, some more points will be deducted from your credit. And all I would say is be cautious when you're applying for credit cards not to lower your credit score, because if you're at 720, you are a super prime, and then you apply for credit card, they deduct 5 points, you're now moved to the lower category, and you don't want to do that, especially if you're trying to make a big purchase like a home. The final factor that has also a low impact on your credit is the credit mix. And they look at the accounts that you have, the mix of the accounts. Are they all credit cards? Do you have loans? Do you have cars? Do you have mortgages? So all that is looked at when assessing your credit mix. Now, how to boost your credit score? Now, let's talk about a couple ways to boost your credit score. Number 1 is to pay off your debt. And there are several methods to pay off your debt. The two well-known ones are the snowball effect and the avalanche. Now, I am definitely an avalanche girl through and through. I don't like the snowball effect. I think it's a waste of money. I can make another video explaining both methods. If you are interested, please just let me know in the comments down below. The other way to boost your credit score is to make your payments before the vendor reports to the credit agencies. You ask, how do I know when they report to the credit agencies? Well, you have dates on your statement. It's called closing date. If you make a payment before those dates, then on the closing date, technically, the vendor is going to report to the credit agency, and that's when they're going to report whatever balance you have on your credit. As I said earlier, everything I got today is because of putting my good credit to a very good use. I really hope that you benefited from this video, and I hope you will start pulling your credit report from annualcreditreport.com, going through it, combing through it, and making sure that there is no suspicious activities, no credit cards that you don't own, no names that you don't use listed, no loans that you didn't apply for listed on there. And I hope that this will be a start for a long-term good credit for you. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I really hope this video was helpful for you. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss future videos. And I really hope to see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.